Hello, everybody. It's me, your friendly neighborhood, and I went on a milk run for quite a bit. It's pretty obvious at this point I stepped away because I was facing some heinous allegations of pedophilia due to an argument about cartoon porn with terminally online Spider-Man fans SK and League Entertainment's own comic legend, and my mental state took a massive dip as a result of dealing with their stupidity. As you guys know, I'm a self-admitted degenerate, and I've not shied away from showing that in my content because my content isn't made for kids. But due to my own personal issues, that degeneracy had taken front and center to the point to where I thought it was a good idea to argue about cartoon porn to these people because, hey, I got the facts. You can't argue with facts given by a literal professional. Yeah, it turns out I was wrong about that. On Twitter, you can actually argue with the facts and somehow win because the facts don't agree with your feelings. And it's also pretty bullshit that SK used gay people as a shield on why he shouldn't listen to professionals because once upon a time they classified being gay as mentally ill. Okay, buddy, if that's going to be your go-to defense, allow me to be the one to tell you that that's a very slimy and underhanded way to downplay people who were victimized for 20 years that classification was put in place. Also, let me be the bearer of bad news that had nothing to do with our discussion. And they couldn't do the legality route, so they switched to morality, which is already the slippery slope fallacy that has already been proven wrong, as I mentioned in the call. And to add more salt in the wound, Chris fucking Hansen, the pedo slayer himself, has weighed in on this topic with this to say. Please stop sending me links to cartoon porn. I find it distasteful, but it's not relevant to my work. Now, mind you, this man has been doing this for the past, I want to say, better half of almost, 30 years at this point. And he has been surrounded by a lot of psychologists who give him insight to how these people's brains work. And if he's literally telling you that cartoon porn has nothing to do with his work, what does that tell you? And on top of that, other child protection agencies have gone on record to complain about the false reports they've gotten over cartoon porn and have explicitly asked people to stop sending them. And while I'm here, I think it's also a good time to debunk a lot of speculation surrounding this whole drama, if you can even call it that. We've already gone over the fact that this argument was in fact about cartoon porn, not CP. And several lies and narratives have stemmed from the very inflammatory language in order to make the situation look worse than what it actually was. For example, claims that I use CP to entice my audience. Yeah, that's obviously bullshit, because if that were the case, my channel would be gone. Another claim that's been floating around is that I had an NSFW section in my Discord server where minors could easily access it. This is also a lie. While there was an NSFW section, it was completely locked to where only a handful of members that I knew for a fact were adults had access to. And even then, it was removed because I didn't want that close to the actual community server. And also, claims of apparent CP being shared there are also bullshit. And the worst lie of all that pissed me off the most is the disgusting insinuation that I was somehow sharing CP with my girlfriend. All of these statements are obviously lies, because if they were true, you'd think they'd have actual proof of that, right? Yeah, I thought so. And one more thing I want to point out is the fact that all claims made against me have stemmed from lies and exaggeration that for some reason kept growing despite the fact that no real evidence was ever presented. For example, as I mentioned in that excerpt, there was a claim that I drew CP. Yeah, this is a lie because the accusation came from a tweet that I made stating that Word Girl and Spider Teen from my animated series fucked, with this image accompanying it. Now, aside from the fact that this tweet is obviously a fucking joke, do you see anything sexual about this? No? Okay, cool. I thought I was going insane for a minute. The claim also stemmed from this image that was in the banner of my NSFW Twitter account. Everyone's fully clothed, and the joke is based off the 4 black guys, 1 white girl meme. Of course, any normal person wouldn't care and move on, but to Twitter, everything is pedophilia, and if you disagree, you're a pedophile. Now, notice that both versions of Word Girl look different from the original. Yeah, that's because my version is an adult. And no, I haven't made NSFW of this character. Anyone who tells you that is lying out of the side of their ass and has to jump through hoops to claim that this is somehow evidence. Also, side note, while this design is still an adult, I personally didn't rock with it too much, so I went with this design instead, given to me by another Discord user. They also tried using Ginny as an argument for some reason. Ginny is a literal object. That's not even ripping on the fact that she's a fictional character. She's a robot. She's a pile of nuts and bolts. And Comic Legend got mad at another user for rightfully pointing that out. It's like I'm explaining the concept of fiction to a bunch of 5-year-olds. No, Edward and Liam, just because you love Spider-Man doesn't mean you can't actually be Spider-Man. Spider-Man doesn't exist because he's a fictional character. If you try to jump off a building and try to swing, you will actually die. Also, Comic Legend, allow me to bestow upon you the biggest hypocrite ever award, because you literally are friends with a man who prefers women with small chests, something you claim to be pedophilic, even though it's a grown ass woman, so nice body shame there. And you also associate with a furry, someone who is in the same boat of accusations you're lobbing at me. Mind you, this isn't to throw these guys under the bus because I personally have zero issues with these guys, but Comic Legends' morals are so inconsistent, he doesn't even apply them to the people who fall into the exact category of scrutiny he was using. And some people are claiming that my friend RSK shared a folder of CP in the call when he didn't. It was actually a drive filled with verified sources of psychologists who have studied this topic in recent years and came to the reasonable conclusion that it is not the problem these guys are making it. Some people are also claiming that I was defending pedophiles in the past. I don't think I need to tell you this, but this is a lie. A funny thing I learned from several people looking into this is that when people were actually asking for evidence of me being an apparent pedophile, they were also met with resistance. Yeah, I don't know about you, but that is a massive red flag. If you were truly confident about your beliefs, you'd be very easily be able to lay it out, like how I did in my Rosa Swayze VA videos. Instead of whining and crying about him being a My Hero Academia fan, Brad, I focused on the fact that Swayze was an active predator who preyed on children in VR chat and has one known case of a minor he met in real life. Instead, you whine and gaslight when people use their brains and think outside of your narrative. It's almost as if my point about normal people not caring about cartoons is actually true, and the people who actually care about the safety and well-being of children wanted evidence of me being an actual threat to kids. And you have none of that because I have never had an inappropriate conversation with a minor because I have no interest in minors. Yeah, shocking. You got done in by burden of proof. I also find it funny how SK and Comic Legend were extremely hostile to the point to where SK threatened violence. Yeah, buddy, you do that to me face to face, not only going to be picking up teeth, but you also have a very nasty assault charge on your hands. And now imagine being so wound up by cartoon porn, you're actually going to try to fight someone over it physically and lose. Honestly, that threat was more pathetic than us having the argument in the first place. Now you're probably wondering, why did I agree to this final debate with SK and Comic Legend? Well, RSK, my friend, used to be a fan of SK's and thought maybe we could come to a middle ground since we have research, facts, and evidence. Something SK has said verbatim in the past that he's open to admitting he's wrong about if you bring him the evidence.
Because if I saw a mutual of mine state that I'm wrong about something, my go-to response is to ask why. And discussing this in a server to compile references and prepare for this is something I'd welcome. All I care about is the merits of what's being said.
So that was a fucking lie.
My nigga, when someone brings you researched evidence from psychologists that proves your stance wrong, that is the end of that conversation. Period. Your feelings about it at that point no longer matter. As a matter of fact, your feelings are now invalid because they have been proven wrong by people who have actually looked into it. And if your first instinct is to try to use the LGBTQ community as a shield, there's something seriously wrong with you. There is no question about that. You didn't like the facts proved you wrong. That's why you didn't bother trying to read any of it, because you knew it would have proven you wrong. I also find it funny he was perfectly fine associating with a 20-year-old who dated a 16-year-old, to the point to where he tried downplaying it by stating, "Oh, it was legal, but it's okay, guys, because the relationship ended. We're all good here." He was so fine to the point to where the main reason they stopped talking on a regular basis was about an argument over Spider-Man. And if anybody remembers what I'm referencing, congrats, you saw the League Entertainment friend or foe video me and Comic Legend did once upon a time ago. Now this would be the point where I play a clip for reference, but my PC got fried when I was trying to torrent Spider-Man 2, and as a result, lost all my gaming footage, videos that I had finished, and other video editing stuff. So if you do remember that, congratulations, you have a great memory. But yeah, funny how he's fine with Southpaw, but for some reason draws the line at cartoon porn. Meanwhile, when that happened with me, I actually tore the guy a new one and cut him off because the guy had dated a 16-year-old while he was 22 and sent this sexually charged message to a 14-year-old. Yeah, me thinks someone has some very fucked priorities. And it's not me. What's the matter, SK and Comic Legend? Are your morals inconsistent? But here's the kicker. My psychologist, no surprise at all, confirmed I was right. During my absence, I got a psychologist because the drama declined my mental state to the point where I was contemplating whether or not allowing myself to get run over by a train was a viable path to choose. And then I realized, hey, I should probably talk to somebody before I do something to myself. Now, the original plan was to actually record our conversation so we can actually get exactly what we both said, but the conversation includes a lot of personal information about me, so I'm gonna have to paraphrase. Now, he said, and I quote, "There is no correlation, nor is there any causality for the subject. While it is still unhealthy to consume porn in general, this specific subject is not even classified as CP." And it's funny, I already knew this. It was in the information SK and Comic Legend refused to read, and I actually showed him the voice calls we had, and needless to say, he was a bit shocked when they refused to read the evidence that was sent to them, and he was even more horrified to learn that these calls were recorded without my consent and posted publicly in order to slander me. Oh, by the way, that's fucking illegal to do that. From what I remember, SK is from, or at least around the state that I'm not going to name because I'm not in the business of doxing. So I Googled it, and yeah, in both his state and mine, it's illegal to record someone without their consent. I'm pretty sure it's also the same for Comic Legends state, but for SK's specifically, it's actually punishable up to 4 years in prison and a $5,000 fine. And as for my state, I am actually advised that I have grounds to sue. I mean, I've already got a pretty solid case going for me. We've got violation of privacy, slander, defamation of character. That false allegation thing is already classified as a misdemeanor, so you're already pretty fucked in that regard. Not to mention emotional distress. SK, Comic Legend, you're both such idiots. You handed me a court case I can easily win because you're such bumbling morons. You posted the evidence of your own crimes for everyone else to see as an own. How did this not cross your mind at any point that this was a bad idea? Oh, right. You wanted clout. Gotcha. We also talked a bit longer and figured out that I actually suffer from depression, anxiety, and PTSD. The depression I already had a hunch about, anxiety as well, but the PTSD, yeah, that's kind of a new one. But now that I think about it, there are certain things and measures that I take in order to not have violent flashbacks about what happened to me, so yeah, I guess that lines up. We also went over a few things I use to cope with, and it was pointed out that my YouTube channel is also an avenue that I use to cope by putting my creativity into something that distracts me. So congratulations, SK and Comic Legend. You have not only put a false allegation on a child sexual abuse survivor, you have also harassed and abused said child sexual assault survivor and tried to take away one of his coping mechanisms. What morally upstanding people you are. And side note, he was actually more concerned about how SK and Comic Legend were acting than me. That should say something. This entire drama has been a waste of everyone's time. What attention could have been given towards actual predators preying on children was wasted on an argument about cartoon porn. Listen here and listen good. Everyone's entitled to their opinions on this subject. You can find stuff weird, gross, disgusting, whatever, but it's not indicative of what someone actually is or being a threat. Once again, exactly like the debunked argument of violent video games causing violence in real life, I play a lot of The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners. I kill NPCs on an, almost minute-to-minute basis. Does that mean I am now highly susceptible to being an axe murderer because I love to wield an axe while I put it through the brains of NPCs? Now, before you try to fry your brain answering that question, no. The answer is no. And it's the exact same argument with this shit. Yes, we can all agree it's weird, gross, etc., but that's where that conversation ends definitively. There are no implications that could be made on something that doesn't exist. That really should not be a hot take. And oh dear Lord, don't even get me started about the overabundance of people who have virtue signal about this subject, yet were outed for grooming minors. There's an entire list of these people, and it's still growing. Yeah, it's funny how actual pedophiles go along with what you're saying because it takes the spotlight off of them. It's something I also mentioned in my Pet Olympics video. It's funny how you're willing to listen to the pedophiles who agree with you, but you're not willing to listen to psychologists who tell you that, yeah, this stuff isn't a problem. It's not categorized as pedophilia. It's not CP. It's literally just weird cartoon porn, and that's how it's classified. You are so gung-ho on ignoring them, but actively listening to pedophiles who want to shield their misdeeds. Every time I bring this subject up to somebody, they never have a good answer for why this is. But do you know the real reason why this whole situation happened? It's because everyone involved in this argument are all terminally online, including myself. We've been wasting so much time on this retarded argument. Actual pedophiles have been going around under our noses, and that's because you bumbling retards have been wasting our time talking about cartoon porn. Let's run this down, shall we? Number one, it's not illegal. SK knows this and has backed off of this point, hence why you hear in the call we don't bring up legality, because he got cooked last time he did. I don't think I need to tell you this, but CP is illegal on a federal level. Yet you will see cartoon porn being made and easily findable on Twitter and even censored versions on YouTube. So if it's CP like you claim it is, why is it up? And if you really do believe it's CP, why aren't you doing something about it? Oh, right. That's because you need to do your performative slacktivism to make you look like a good person. Okay, I get it now. You're just a fucking grifter. That's what you are. Number two, it's not classified as CP in the slightest. SK and Comic Legend tried to lie about the definition, but I have reading comprehension, much to the dismay of my detractor. But the definition of CP clearly states it has to be identifiable from an actual minor. Cartoons do not look like minors. I don't think I need to tell you that, but cartoons don't look like real people at all. They're figments of somebody's imagination, somebody made up. And if you think this somehow looks like a real person, there's obviously some screws loose upstairs. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. I think you should check yourself to a psych ward because you have a very debilitating case of schizophrenia. Oh, speaking of psych stuff, number three, psychology does not agree with you in the slightest. In that call, RSK and I sent SK and Comic Legends sources from psychologists who have studied this topic in full and have come to the conclusion that it is not, nor will it ever be, connected to pedophilia. Multiple psychologists have studied this because it's not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for like the better half of like 40 years. And they've pretty much come to the conclusion that no, it's not connected to pedophilia. So if psychologists are literally telling you that it's not connected, why are you still going to try to lie and say that there's a connection? And what's funny, my psychologist confirms I'm nowhere near the spectrum of actually being attracted to minors. So that also kind of just rubs salt into these people's wounds even more, because now my psychologist has confirmed, no, I don't like kids. I mean, I already knew that, but you know, if I didn't really need a psychologist to tell me that, but now that a psychologist told me that, I guess I can sleep a little better. And don't try to hide behind the LGBTQ as a shield, because there's a major difference between cartoon porn, a mental illness that makes people attracted to children, and an entire spectrum of people who are not cisgender. My girlfriend listened to the call, and to say she was not a fan of SK trying to use gay people as an argument is an understatement of the century. Fun fact about Rogal, she's actually non-binary. She goes by they, them, but still goes by she, her pronouns, and is bisexual with a male preference lean. Imagine using the LGBTQ community as an argument because you couldn't accept the fact that you were wrong. Could not be me. Oh, and speaking of my girlfriend, hey, Comic Legend, you kind of fucked up trying to drag her into this. Considering the fact you've been nothing but an incel prick to her ever since you met her. Several people can attest to this because when this was brought up, nobody could come to your defense. And then you tried hiding behind other people, joking around with her. Yeah, there's a difference. You were 100% a dick, and she did not want to be around you because of that. Hell, her fucking roommate witnessed your bullshit and could not believe her eyes and ears. This also led to her banning you from my Discord server because, let's be real, you started a fight with another member about Ginny Wakeman. While I do take some blame for this because I was not paying attention to what was being posted, which led to some borderline NSFW to slip past me, that should have been something you brought to my attention in DMs, not starting a full-on fight in my server. And oh, let's not forget the fact you threatened to kick me out of League Entertainment if I didn't delete the video of me and my girlfriend playing VR chat because you found it cringe and strawmanned her wearing a Spider-Gwen avatar when no normal person would give a shit about it. Oh, but apparently Comic Legend did, for some weird fucking reason. And my mistake was briefly giving in to him because I wanted to be such a people pleaser. But I'm glad I never deleted the video like he wanted me to. Oh, by the way, thanks to you, she's also been getting targeted because you were so hungry for that clout. My girlfriend got caught in the crossfire. You can't even say that's on me. You posted those knowing full well she was mentioned, and you did it anyway. Because you were the one who didn't think about your actions that could have affected others, all in the name of sweet clout. And in the process, tarnishing League Entertainment. I feel bad for the other guys now that this has happened because they're now associated with a channel that slandered another content creator and in the process got his girlfriend caught in the crossfire. Yeah, I wonder why you don't have a girlfriend at all. Totally not a mystery to me in the slightest. And finally, the most telling of all, the fact you knew all of this, yet you didn't report me to the police or try to report any of my accounts because you know full well every negative thing you say regarding me is a bold-faced lie, only bolstered by inflammatory language in order to get people on your side. Why else would you get upset I stuck by calling it cartoons and fictional characters when you tried calling it CP? It ruins your narrative about me. So you tried to make me look crazy by jumping through hoops, pulling your hair out when I just take this simple, straightforward walk. Why else would you get upset when I bring sources that back me up? Why would you try to downplay me being abusive to my in real life friend about this subject because she was participating in weird ass shipping, yet she has no interest in minors? Oh, you were wrong, but you weren't wrong. No, motherfucker, I was wrong 100%. That's what opened my eyes to this entire argument being bullshit because I dragged it into the real world, only to realize that none of it has any weight in the real world. None of it matters. It was a waste of time, and on top of that, I was being a bully over an anime shit. You know who cares about this? You know who this matters to? Fucking terminally online losers who care nothing more to get validation and internet points because they have Twitter's acceptable opinion and are so fucking bored they have nothing better to do with their lives. I love how nobody actually tries to address the professionals that prove their feelings wrong with facts, studies given by science, but screech to the high heavens that there's something wrong with me because I turned my focus on actual pedophiles. Something about this ain't adding up. You know, it kind of makes me wonder if there's any skeletons hiding that we're not seeing. The cartoons weren't the reason why I got molested multiple times by a female family member. The cartoons weren't the reason why I got raped multiple times by someone who was supposed to be taking care of me. And the cartoons were the reason why I got groomed when I first started the internet at 15. It was because sick people abused me for their own desires because I was too weak and naive to speak up. And for a time, I did blame the cartoons, and I witch hunted people. I've been suspended several times on Twitter because of that, only to realize that I was wrong and in reality, I needed to focus on actual predators. Bottom line is that if you haven't been paying attention, no, I don't like minors. Sorry, Twitter, but you were wrong. Now, for those who still somehow have this retarded belief, ask yourself this. If I'm such a predator, why have I not tried DMing any minors? In the 7 years I've been on YouTube and the 5 years I've been directly interacting with my fan base and others, why don't I have any supposed victims coming forward? Funny how nobody involved ever has an answer to that question, because the answer quite simply ruins their narrative. And honestly, I'm done hanging around terminally online motherfuckers like Comic Legend and SK. Now, SK, I didn't have much of a friendship with. Yeah, we were mutuals on Twitter and friends on Discord, but that was solely because I helped him out, where people were slandering his name. Funny, this is how I got repaid for that. But Comic Legend is different. He was someone who, at least for me, I considered a friend. And I know some people will look at how he's treated me and say, how could I have ever been friends with someone like that? But truth be told, I saw some actual good qualities in him, and I thought they outweighed his negative traits. And I thought he was a pretty cool guy for offering to integrate me into League Entertainment. I've been offered to join network channels before, but I always turned it down because I preferred flying solo. But I felt like it was different with League Entertainment because I had some sort of connection with the people involved with the channel already. And I still do, with the exception of Comic Legend himself for obvious reason. But since those rose-tinted glasses are gone, let's be real here, Comic Legend is just straight up an asshole. He's severely abusive. It's gotten so bad to the point to where one of the League members was borderline unwilling to do videos for him of Spider-Man 2 because he talks so much shit about it, and anyone who shows a shred of interest in the game where he didn't want to do gameplay for the channel. Bottom line is, I'm just done running with people who do nothing but turn around and use me for a clown show when I wanted to give good faith that we could come to some sort of compromise. And there's nothing you could even say about this at this point, because I have it straight from the mouth of a professional that I've been seeing that there are no implications that could be made from this. No actual morality involved. Why? Because it's a fucking cartoon character. And I am tired of people acting like cartoons are real while treating real people like they're cartoons. And I know I said this before, but I find it funny how SK and Comics Legend, neither of them have a girlfriend, yet they wonder why I have a girlfriend. Yeah, that's because I'm not a vicious, uptight asshole, unlike you pompous bastards. Funny, I have a significant other, but neither of you do. Totally not the biggest mystery in the world on why that is. But funny thing is, for everything I just got through saying, I forgive SK and Comic Legend, not because I want to bow to their feet, but if I continue with the sole purpose to spite them and everyone who believes this lie, it's gonna self-destruct me. And it's something my psychologist also told me, that it would be best to try to move on from certain things. This, including other past trauma, is something that I've been working towards letting go and ultimately having to forgive. Of course, I'm never going to forget it, but sometimes you just gotta forgive. And plus, I've had enough suicidal thoughts to last a lifetime because of them. So, this is my way of letting it go once and for all. Now, this will be the final time I talk about this situation. It wouldn't be right if I didn't address it fully and coherently. The last times I didn't have my full thoughts together. It's also going to be funny, but also extremely sad to see the Twitter freaks in the comments try to cope, seethe, mold, and gaslight their way out of everything I said. They can't use legality because cartoon porn is legal, hence why you can find it everywhere. It's funny how they never have a clear answer for why that is. If it's child porn and it's as illegal as you claim it is, why is it so easily accessible? Why can I find it anytime I fucking go on Twitter? You can't even use morality because psychology just straight up said no to that. What are you gonna do? Call the entirety of psychologists pedophiles? They're the ones that diagnose this shit, you bumbling retards. It just shows how unwilling you are to admit that you're wrong and take it on the chin. Reminder, you're actively saying, fuck what the professionals say, it's pedophilia because I say it is. That's like saying 2 plus 2 equals 5, and when people correct you on it, you start screeching that they're racist or something. And oh dear lord, I wish I was joking about that. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, and non-binaries, I am back. And we ain't stopping for nobody. I've got the cold, hard facts on my side, not some whiny little but my feelings argument. If you want to argue with a professional who has more knowledge and experience in the field of studying the human brain, all because they got something wrong a long time ago and fixed it, I think you're the one that needs to get your head checked. But if you ever want to take something away from this video, it's the fact that Twitter is just not good for any sane individual. It's full of people who quite frankly shouldn't have access to a device at all, and will say anything because nobody has the ability to punch through a screen. At least not yet. And a good majority of them are just terminally online, including SK, Comic Legend, and a lot of the Spider-Man community. Funny how on Instagram you don't find nearly as much of the crazy shit you see some of these motherfuckers on Twitter say. And my time without Twitter has significantly improved my mental health. Well, minus this shit. Twitter isn't a real place, people. Let's just remember that. And let's leave this Twitter nonsense at the door and allow me to fill you in on what I've been up to while I was away. Along with sticking with therapy because it's been helping me immensely. I've been working on that side project with my girlfriend, though I don't know when it'll be finished. For the most part, I'll be sticking with close friends in order to make content. If not just outright stay doing it on my own, aside from helping my girlfriend with recordings, because my psychologist pointed out that this entire situation has also seemingly birthed some major trust issues along with things from my past. And, here's to everyone that didn't completely desert me. I read comments on my In For Now video, and it was quite obvious who actually knew the truth versus who just jumped on the hate bandwagon. And sadly, some people on my side did leave because they thought the allegations had merit. But honestly, there's no hard feelings about that. Extra points to the people that knew the allegations were bullshit, and even more to those who reached out to me directly. Seeing your guys' messages moved me and helped me push myself forward even more to want to come back. And I think I can cement myself as a bona fide content creator considering I have a bandwagon of haters now. That means I'm doing something right. And let us not drink the tears of my haters too much, because I'm pretty sure all that salt will kill a grown man. Anyways, I will see you in the next one. And don't forget, you're always welcome in this neighborhood. See ya.